At some point in our lives, 256 million Americans, or 3 out of 4 people in this room today, will fall below the poverty line. Not because we didn't work hard enough, but because the system made it impossible for us to get ahead. Because America is breaking. Or at least, it's going broke. The American dream promises if we work hard, we can climb the ladder to success. What happens when that ladder is missing half its rungs? When those at the top knock it down just to ask, why aren't you climbing faster? The truth is, poverty isn't someone else's problem. It is each and every one of ours. Because politicians tell us if we work harder, save smarter, we'll make it just like them, all while stacking the bills against us at every single turn. So today, let's close this gap by writing a new State of the Union address from the people, not the billionaires. First, we'll tell the truth about the rising cost of living, where our citizens are working themselves to death and still cannot afford basic necessity. Then, we'll analyze a failing college system, before finally proposing a new state of being where we don't have to tear at the seams of our wallets to make room for some change. From the people, we need to recognize when our ladder isn't working. The poverty line represents the bare minimum for survival: food, shelter, and clothing, but it overlooks essential living costs like healthcare and transportation. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average annual cost of living in the United States is $73,000, while the average annual income is $60,000. Imagine working 60-hour weeks, juggling 2 jobs, and still unable to get ahead. That is not a fault of you trying. That is a system rigged against you. And unless you're in the top 1% of Americans, you probably want to fix this. And if you are in that top 1%, you can go ahead and write that check out to George Johnson. Of course, the wealth gap isn't just numbers on paper. It has real-life consequences that are highlighted in disaster. Small disasters, like a broken-down car, can be detrimental for a family living in poverty. The New York Times found that 28% of us wouldn't be able to make a $500 emergency car repair without falling into debt. When poverty forces a family to choose between fixing the car that gets their kid to school or putting money into a college savings account, the cycle of financial insecurity deepens. I have seen it firsthand. I'm from Asheville, North Carolina, and in September, I watched as Hurricane Helene exposed how fragile financial stability really is. Overnight, food, shelter, and clean water became luxuries. I watched as people who could afford to live here realized they couldn't afford to leave. Dolly Parton, who donated $1 million to hurricane aid, once said, "Storms make trees take deeper roots." But this storm took all of our trees by their roots. It tore through our homes, savings, and any illusion that hard work guarantees stability. Because it shows that one crisis, whether it is a job loss or a storm, forces you to choose between survival and long-term stability. From our students who can no longer afford to go to the schools we get into, this same climb faster mentality is trapping us in debt. College is supposed to be the key to opportunity, but for many of us, it's just another locked door. It's a system designed to keep you paying, whether that's your family bank accounts, work studies, or student loans. And for those who forgo a degree entirely, they will earn 32% less in their lifetime than their graduate peers. And now, as protections like affirmative action, DEI initiatives, and student loan forgiveness disappear, college is turning into a game of them versus us. Our current administration is actively dismantling the Department of Education, one of our crucial rungs for success. CNBC found that financial insecurity is the #1 reason for college dropout, and 30% of college students rely on federal loans given by the Department of Education. So why are we stripping it, which will cause millions more to give up on their future. I am terrified because as a senior in high school who is the youngest of four, with the proposed changes, it doesn't matter how hard I've worked or how many siblings I have. The only thing that matters is I won't have enough money to go. This isn't about Republican versus Democratic or rich versus the poor. This is about our people. For our children who are promised if we work hard in school, we can go to any college we want. But now we walk in knowing we will be in debt for the rest of our lives. Because knowledge is power, but those in power withhold the knowledge based on what we can afford. National Education Association President Becky Pringle called limiting the Department of Education equivalent to giving up on hope. Because this isn't just about broke college students. It's a system failing those it was built to serve. From our children of the next generation who are giving up on a future before they were even given a chance, I'm here to tell you it's going to be okay. We've seen solutions work in the past, so let's learn from them. In 1959, 22% of America was in poverty. But instead of knocking the ladder down, we secured it by expanding Social Security, food stamps, and Project Head Start. And as these programs grew, poverty fell to just 15% by 1966. Project Head Start in particular was implemented to give early educational opportunities to low-income communities, tackling the wealth gap in education before we had to take out loans. Our leaders were willing to take a chance on these programs, a chance that has kept poverty down ever since, because history shows when we invest in our people, it works. Let's be the generation that refuses to settle, that fixes a gap, not just in income, but an opportunity. Because I'm taking a chance on every person in this room to be willing to listen, to learn, and to grow. To bring back relief brought by these programs, we need a government that wants us to succeed and is willing to put resources into programs that work, like the Department of Education. We need to hold major corporations accountable by increasing taxes on wealthy organizations, those profiting off of our labor and living needs. We decrease the need for aggressive taxes burdening the working class, and our over-reliance on predatory credit systems trapping us in debt. Credit scores are rigged against the working American, as it doesn't matter if you face a crisis. The only thing that matters is your score tanks, keeping you locked out of affordable housing, loans, and jobs. This system has never been about fairness. It has always been about control. But we can fix it. Instead of punishing us for financial setbacks, let's invest in policies that help secure affordable education, better healthcare, and retirement security, so that no one is forced to choose between a future of opportunity or a lifetime of debt. Countries like Australia and the United Kingdom have income-based repayment systems, so that no one is ever forced to pay more than their fair percentage of their earnings. When they face a crisis like a job loss, their payments adjust, not their futures. Imagine a country where every single American's hard work is rewarded. That is the future we can build together, because there are our solutions out there. Whether you are a parent worrying about your child's future or someone paying off debts of your own, robust financial aid works. The Department of Education has a free scholarship search program by award type, state, need, and special categories such as race or disability. So the next time you find yourself thinking, those programs aren't for people like me, they're for people like them, I ask you to think instead. Even if I'm not living the vision of poverty I have in my head, will this program help me reach my goal? And accept that help. Because the system wants us to believe there is a them and an us. But there is no them. Only us fighting for a future where success isn't just for the lucky few. Former President Obama even agrees with me, stating, these are crucial values, ones we have to reclaim, because we are not limited by the digits in our banks. We are defined by our actions, our legacy, and how we want to live our lives. Only then is pride in our reach. So today, let's close this gap an address now filled out with every citizen in mind. Each step on our ladder is a conversation, an act of empathy, an act of logic. From our people, we invest in a future. From our students, we secure our tomorrow. And from the children of the next generation, we build a ladder that cannot be knocked down, so that our voices can finally make some change.